Hello student, good morning everyone. In last lecture we have gone through the simple discussion of syllabus as per Saurashtra University norm. And today in this session we are going to talk about remaining two chapters, simply just outlay of chapters is standard costing and marginal costing. So let us we start standard costing. This chapter is in your syllabus. Standard costing 1, material, which is called as that material variances. Right? This is the chapter number 2. The next chapter number 3, again standard costing number 2, and which is related to labor variances. Right? The standard costing categorized here in two ways. One, that is material, and second, that is labor. So we carried through the material variances, and the variances. What is the variances? I told you in a first lecture. Right? Again, I repeat here. The variances is nothing but it is a difference. Right? The difference between two things. Right? So what things here? So difference between actual data, you have financial data. Right? It means the company have financial data. Right? And company wants to know the difference. Right? Difference. What sort of difference about what? See, the actual difference and predetermined difference. It means they actually set by the company, right? So the difference between actual data and standard data, right? Simply you just carry through in this chapter. Find out the difference between actual data, it is given by, and standard data. Standard data, that means you just set, right? See, the standard costing is required the predetermined set of data, right? Predetermined set of data. So it requires historical data, right? The one major two things here discuss, right? What, first of all, historical cost and predetermined cost. When combination of these two types of cost, right, here the standard costing is being made, right? So in that, see, there are different types of cost technique is there, right? See, you studied in SY, job costing, wage costing, process costing, and all the cost techniques you have studied, unit costing, XYZ, right? But in the standard costing, it requires the historical data as well as predetermined cost of data. Right? Predetermined, that means the data has been set. Right? It means assumptions. Right? Predetermined. So this chapter is required. Historical data, it means the financial historical data, that means the financial data you prepared or you well aware about your financial accounting. Right? So financial account, what the goal of financial account is? See, either profit or loss calculation and all the things is then met. Right? So standard costing is required, the difference only. Right? This difference either favorable or unfavorable in the form of, right? In the form of favorable difference or unfavorable difference. It means I mean to say that the difference is either positive or negative. Right? With the comparison of and standard data, right? For an example, I give you example. For an example, the product. There are different product is there which is running into the business enterprise, right? In manufacturing, production like A and B, right? See, the actual data. Suppose 20 quantity. Here it is the data in terms of quantity, and here it is 30. Now to compare with the actual price, suppose 3 and rupees 2 per unit, right? Here this is rupees. Why? Because of the price always in terms of rupees. And here we compare the standard. Right? Standard. Right? Standard data. Same way, here the product A and product B. Right? You compare the quantity of actual data with standard data price with standard price. Right? So in this chapter, you just find out the difference between actual data and standard data. So this difference is known as, we can say, the variances. Right? So here material variances. It means material variances first of all require raw materials production and all the things is being made in this chapter. So now we discuss again. Then what is the standard cost? First of all, we discuss what is standard cost. So as per the CIMA London, standard cost as a predetermined calculation. Standard cost. Right? What is the standard cost first of all? Right? Standard cost is predetermined. Standard cost according to CIMA. CIMA, this is the one of the institutions which is related with this Chartered Institute of Management Account. Chartered institutions of management account. Right? So according to them, the standard cost as a predetermined calculation of how much cost should be under specific condition. Right? Simply, what is the meaning of standard cost? This is according to institutions relating with the Chartered Management Account. It means the full form of Chartered Institutions of Management Account. According to them, the standard cost it is as predetermined calculation of how much cost that should be incurred under the specific condition. Right? So this is the standard cost. And that is we are going to try to understand standard cost. This is the standard cost. Right? But here the next step is standard costing. Right? Before the meaning of standard costing, we require to understand the standard cost. Right? Then after standard costing. Right? Now the standard costing again according to CIMA standard costing. Right? According to CIMA, again I repeat, Chartered Institutions of Management Account. Right? According to them, the standard costing is preparation and use of standard cost. Standard, which is standard, right? This is the abbreviation form of standard, right? Standard cost, which the comparison. Here the word is comparison, right? The comparison, what comparison? So comparison made between actual and standard, right? Comparison with actual cost and standard cost. Actual cost and standard cost, right? And the analysis of variance and furthermore and analysis of variance, right? And you know that well aware about this word analysis, right? And the variance is difference between actual and standard data. Again, I repeat you, the standard data, this is the predetermined set of data, right? Predetermined set of data, right? So for the fulfillment of this standard costing, right, you just go through the historical data and predetermined cost of data, right? So this is the standard costing, right? Then material costing variance is required, the material related variance. So this is standard costing 1 related to material variance. Then next standard costing 2, this is related to labor variances. Standard costing number 2, right? This is the chapter number 3, your chapter number 3, which is related to labor variance. So in this chapter we want to explain the variance, right? Variance word in both the chapters are same. The word is same. So next labor variance, in that in simply we can say that the laborers are employed in particular manufacturing industries, right, for producing product, right? So they are employed, right? So how we can find out the variance between labors, right? Simply I can say that all the labors are not same, right? It means the some are skilled labor, some are semi-skilled labor, and some are unskilled labor, right? So find out the difference between skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled, right? And whatever the difference, either favorable or unfavorable, so this is the variance, right? We can say that labor variance, right? This is the simple understanding, right? Then furthermore in labor variance, in material variance we go through in material variance, the variance is possible to calculate the variance between cost, price, quantity also, and last one is yield, right? See, this totally based on these two chapters, variance, labor variance and material variance, these two chapters is totally based on formula basis, right? Formula. So you should always remember whatever the formula that I will give you later on stage, right? Always be remember, right? Then labor variance, it requires again same here, labor cost variance you will find out, labor wages, here the price, here the wages. Why? Because of the wages are paid to laborers, right? We all know that, right? And here the price of material, right? See, the wages paid to material, it is not actual, right? It doesn't mean that these two words, it can't be matched, right? For only remember, right? But here the price of material, here you are required to calculate the material price variance, material cost variance, material quantity variance, and material yield variance. And here same way, labor variance, labor cost variance and labor wages variance, right? See, all the variance is find out, right? Wages or rates, right? Labor rate variance, labor cost variance, right? Then labor efficiency variance also, right? Labor efficiency variance you are required to calculate, right? So these two chapters, again I repeat you, these two chapters based on totally formula basis, right? If you know the formula and calculate the example, right, with the fulfillment of rules and regulation with the proper or exact formula, right, then your answer may be right. Right? So these are the labor variance. Next, last chapter is related to marginal cost. The last chapter number 4, marginal costing. As per your syllabus, the last chapter is your marginal cost. So before the terminology marginal cost, you should know what marginal cost, right? Same way, the standard cost is what we learned that. Then after standard costing, right? So here the marginal cost, before this terminology, at least we know that marginal cost. So marginal cost is the change in volume of production. Marginal cost is nothing but in shortly we can say that, right? It means the change in volume of production by 1 unit, right? See, change. What are the changing? In which activity is changed? That suppose there are different types of activities running in manufacturing process, right? Production activity, then production process, then work in progress, and all the things, right? Change in volume of production, and here the in spite of production, right? You can also call it as that volume of output. Both are, the word is very similar, right? By 1 unit. I also I can say that the by 1 unit, not that by additional 1 unit. By additional 1 unit. For example, suppose here the number of quantities suppose 1, right? And price is suppose again 1, and the additional 1 unit suppose 1, right? Then suppose here number 2, right? The price is 2, and here is suppose price is 2, then I want to add 1 unit, right? Rupees 1. So here the additional unit, or you can say the cost is rupees 3. See, this is the basic example, right? You can think another example also, right? So marginal cost is what? The change in volume of production, or you can say output, by additional 1 unit, right? Then the marginal costing, right? The one another thing is the marginal cost means what, right? Another things in marginal cost that means changes in, suppose changes in total cost, right? Changes in total cost due to increase or decrease by 1 unit due to increase or decrease by 1 unit. Right? See the changes in total cost. Here the categorization of total cost in fixed cost and variable cost also. Right? One again important concept in case of marginal cost with respect to fixed cost and variable cost, it is important, right? So later on stage we will discuss about classification of cost, which is related to fixed cost, variable cost and semi-variable cost. It is also the semi-variable cost is nothing include. It is not included in case of marginal cost. Right. See, this is the basic information of marginal costing. Right. The one more thing is in marginal costing, right? The concept of break-even analysis, break-even point, right? When break-even point is come to reach, right, at the time of no profit, no loss. Suppose this situation may rise in a particular unit, right? Suppose no profit. Suppose one particular product is going on to produce finished goods, right? And over a period of time, or you can say to find out the either profit or loss, if the situation rise that no profit or no loss, we can say that the concept of break-even analysis should be applied, right? Break-even analysis, or you can say break-even point. If the situation is rise with no profit or no loss, we can say that there is a break-even point, right? See, this is the basic outline of this chapter. In this chapter, what are the practical examples related to that, right? So practical example related to fixed cost, variable cost and break-even point, right? And certain limiting factors is also there in a particular business enterprise, right? So what are the limiting factors? See, suppose the particular labor are employed in manufacturing unit, right? So as per the production, suppose there is a shortage of labor, right? So sometimes the production may be discontinued due to limitation of labors, right? So this shortage is affected to the production or output, right? Or you can say the effect to the profitability of particular manufacturing unit or business enterprise, right? So these are the concepts we will study in this chapter. So this is the basic outlay or the chapters in management account as per the Saurashtra University syllabus, right? So let us in next lecture we will start, or we go through in next session is the chapter number 4, marginal costing, right? Dhanyavad. Thank you all of you, dear student.